Accidental. Strong. Thanks, Sonny.
Jacob Piper saying that it's accidental, so it's a scrum. There's been a bit of a theme in the last year or so. Any accidental collision seems to be given as a penalty, and it shouldn't. For not trying to block Bernard LaRue. So Piper quite right.
The last 3 matches between these two at this venue have been won by 2 points. France have won 2 of them, England 1 of them.
One of the good things for England, France have been the dominant force, but with a 42% win rate under Saint-André, they cannot have the confidence of a winning team. And I think that maybe is a reason why England are still in contention and can still win this game. If they can just exert some power. But at the moment, a couple of scrum penalties once against Eddie Benarous, but you just sense France have a little bit more at the moment.
It's done nothing for the blood pressure of the groundsman either, that scrum. Lost another chunk.
I'll come over to that side.
Saint-André there will be delighted on his left. Serge Blanco. Patrice Legisquet on his right. A very, very potent back 3 if they'd played together.
Well, it's in play now.
Maybe Serge will be on the crash ball nowadays.
Use that.
Picamoles. Tearsborn. Bastereau. That's Uge, great line, Uge, oh, step 2! What a finish that is one of the best wingers finishes you will see. Simple as.
Said earlier in the game, he has a habit of hurting England, and he's done it there. Just slashed through them. Beautiful line, and then for a big man, his footwork is superb. That's a lovely inside ball there. But Mike Brown done on the inside-outside step. Joseph can't get back to him. Michalak draws Joe Marler. Brown one-on-one, gets hopelessly beaten there. Now can't get back to him. And that is superb play from the right wing, stepping in field.
It's the pace at which it's all done. And Serge Blanco, the great himself, would have been proud of that one.
French director cut to the back 3, perfect timing. 1 minute later, wow, that was a fantastic French score.
And Michalak, an all-important first score in the second half, goes to France, and it was one to savour. Yes, they'll be blowing kisses back to Uge.
Well, a few years ago, it was deflections off kicks that just bounced up into his hand. This time that was a beautifully worked move, and it has to be said again, Freddie Michalak, uncomplicated but a very fine performance at 10, making it happen around him.
Now, I mentioned those 2-point games. Of course, England have no God-given right to expect victory here at the Stade de France against this French team, as those recent tight games prove. 2 of them belong to France, 1 to England, but at the very least England would have expected, wanted to be close tonight. They are anything but here now. And Jamie George about to be introduced, the Saracens man, into international rugby.
Well, England believe they're potential world champions. They would be coming here expecting to win. There's no God-given right, but they would expect to beat a team with the atrocious record that France have. What's happening at the moment is just horrendous.
Stolen ball again on the England line out.
Maul.
What a worry that is.
Once.
It simply has to sort itself. It does here in that England get the put into the scrum, but the worry really doesn't go away.
But just the mechanics of the pack isn't working at all. There's been claims that Tom Youngs has sorted out his line out. It's pressure here, and you can see that he hasn't. The decision to leave out Dylan Hartley. Looks a big one as we see Jamie George waiting to come over his debut, and Danny Kerr, and that's understandable because nothing's happened for Ben Youngs. Kerr can spark a game.
We're losing the Youngs brothers. As off comes Tom at hooker and Ben at scrum half. Danny Kerr just named as Harlequins' new captain. He becomes England's scrum half, winning his 52nd cap, and for Jamie George it's the first cap. What a year it's been, with that try for Saracens, the try in the Premiership final at Twickenham, and now his patience rewarded. 25 years of age, had that apprenticeship at Saracens under John Smith.
But what a challenge as well, coming on for your debut, trying to book yourself a place in the World Cup squad, with the French pack rampant around the field, dominating the line out. He'll never have a bigger test.
We're told officially the change at hooker is a blood injury.
There's too much movement. Yeah, there's movement from wide, movement from blue.
Keyword officially.
Yes, we're told Kieran Brooks' hand injury last week was a head injury.
Yeah, there's a lot of movement.
But Tom Youngs has been spilling a lot of blood tonight in his tackling, which has been exemplary. Not so the throwing, and that is or the communication, whether it's the hooker's fault or not. It is not working at the line out. Whatever the problem is, that needs sorting. England know it.
Oh, I think, yeah, as I said, the whole mechanics of England's pack just not functioning.
Coach! 5, 6.
So does this. Penalties. And penalties at the scrum too.
Number 1's dropping a bind.
England's forwards did not fire last week, and it's not happening this week.
As dare I say, he said, what will Ireland and Joe Smith be thinking watching this French team? Dare I say, in the way England are playing, what will Fiji be thinking?
As the ball goes out, we go to Pat Sanderson on the gain line.
Well, we see some really, really uncharacteristic play from some of the England players. Here we see Vunipola, fantastic opportunity just to take the ball up. He's 20 stone, get over the gain line. He looks to tip it on. Now the other big man who gives them so much go forward, Courtney Laws, again, just get your head down, get some go forward. He tips it onto Cole, and they lose 2 metres. Big men need to carry hard and get England going forward.
France going forward again here with a good take from Bernard LaRue. Girardo trying to clear Laws out the way. Picamoles wants a free run, but he's got Haskell all over him. England try and break it up. In goes Jamie George, couldn't quite make it on Tias Bourne.
Leave him! Leave him!
Girardo, as France is starting hooking in the Six Nations. Tias Bourne now knows where it is. So too Picamoles. Pape. England have a chance to put a boot on it.
Is that knock on Johnny? You're right. No. Back of the hand. Use it!
Back it goes to Michalak, looking for the drop goal. Mike Brown nervous, but not for long.
16-point margin, the kick doesn't go over. You can see exactly what Michalak was trying to do, just keep that scoreboard going. Very much like his Toulon partner, of course, Johnny Wilkinson.
Here comes try scorer Uge. Didn't make too many friends with his dive against Bath last season, got in trouble for that. Make some friends with his dive over the line today. What a try that was. Here's Johnny May looking to do something brilliant for England. And boy, do they need it. Final half hour. And went Burrell.
That was a good line.
Brave run, wasn't it? Vunipola again. Haskell clears, so does Cole. Kerr out to George Ford. This is tight. Jonathan Joseph with 4 being bumped to the floor off the ball, but he's back on his feet. And Huget goes back, and so too Spedding. And the ball is kind to Spedding.
No great problems for France at the moment. George Ford drifting across. He took the ball left to right. He didn't have the numbers. He needed his Bath mate, Jonathan Joseph, just to glide past the odd tackle to keep the attack alive. No real shape at the moment. It's a good line from Burrell. I think, as Pat said, England need the big men to come hard and narrow, just draw the French defence a bit.
Vunipola. Brothers on the bench. Mako at the prop. Yes, England have been penalised when the ball didn't come back.
Short release, come back.
I think that counts as another penalty at the breakdown. It's very different to those sort of New Zealand-Australia games, South Africa-New Zealand, where the breakdown is a battling. No one's really committed itself there. Vunipola there. It's just about the first time he's made a couple of metres. Nothing's happened off him, has it?
Two more changes. James Haskell. He used to go to the blind side, I think, or will do when it is a scrum. It's Tiersport to Nakatapi. Man from Clermont. Pickamoles. Well, he could be one of the stars of the World Cup, Louis Pickamoles. Pape and Leroux, tackled by opposite number Rob Shaw. Another score for France here, and you'd have thought it would just about kill it. Tiersport, outward hits the deck, knew he was in the way. Good drive, but he's going towards the touchline now, and England win that little battle. Gain line, Pat.
Well, we've had another good look at the French try, and it's a defensive error really from Joe Marler. If we highlight him here, just in behind the ruck, his job really is to stand as first man. He doesn't. He leaves Rob Shaw out to dry. Rob Shaw should have come outside and folded in behind. In doing so, Marler stretches Rob Shaw and Huget goes through the gap. But it all comes down to knowing your job when you come around the corner. You lock in the first man first, and anybody else comes round the corner outside that guard position, as we call it. Poor from Marler and very basic from England.
Another lost ball on the England throw. Jamie Georges come on, didn't quite work. Bastareaud to Nakatapi. England really their own worst enemies when it comes to the set piece tonight. Crossfield kick here could be interesting. Michalak, who's looking for Shuley, and Johnny May better be good here. Nobody makes it. It's falling for Pape. The captain has it. As France go for the kill, defeated at Twickenham last week, looking anything but beaten here tonight in Paris, and looking to get that winning feeling going again. Tiersport, Michalak, they're hanging out wide as Spedding finds Bastareaud. Does he have the chance to pass? Spedding comes round, Joseph can't take it, and the knock-ons end the move. There was a great chance there for France. Bastareaud just couldn't get rid of the ball.
Well, England's lack of confidence is just spreading through the team there. Maestri so quick up there. Johnny May so assured.
Well, England get the penalty, and away goes Danny Kerr. Luther Burrell. Vunipola driving again. Once again, England try and get outside of their own half. And a good spell at the start of this second half, but really, during the course of the hour of this match, very little to write home about.
That's a very good kick there from George Ford. No reaction from the crowd, but he made 40 metres and he's just driven France back, because France has just complete control of this game.
Last chance for Messrs Cipriani and 12 Trees to impress. Anyway, it's not a bad time for those two to come on to try and prove that they can lift it, make a change.
Take the line out. Take the line out. Take the line out. Yeah, we'll take the line out. It's all for white hand.
Would have felt like a long wait.
Show numbers. Show ball.
When they do come on, it can't be that much worse than it has been. This has been, golf parlance, has been way below par, hasn't it? This is Tiger Woods' form at the moment in the majors.
Ball.
It's a right hack.
Stay there, just stay there. He's going all the time.
As the game went on at Twickenham last week, this is exactly what France did towards the England line. And in other areas of the pitch, they're doing it again. They've won another penalty.
16.
It was moving and England could do little else but pull it down.
Come on. Just silent treatment. You okay?
I've seen England lose plenty of rugby internationals, but it's quite a while since I've seen them so comprehensively outplayed up front. You know, in terms of both power and technique, France have really done with England what they've wanted. I can't think of England. I think England won about one line out that was as good as that one from LaRue. Everything has been a struggle for for England. Everything has been easy for France.
Everybody has their theories about what may or may not happen in the World Cup, but I think a line you hear quite often at the moment is that England, whatever happens, will be very hard to beat. And France have had it all their own way tonight as Antonio comes on to join their front row, and on come the aforementioned Cipriani and 12 Trees, as away go Burrell and May.
Well, home teams have a fine record at the World Cup. They go well, but England will have to be a lot better than this. Oh,
and through goes Nyanga. Another big hole found. It was inventive, it was clever. It caught England on the hop. And here's Bastereau to try and make it count. England are scrambling here.
What's the point? Advantage, number 8. On the
Another penalty. Free play then for Tiersport to find Michalak. As he does. And Spedding, nothing coming.
Number 8, on the ground, playing the ball.
Now will France really look to turn the screw? What's the call here from Papé?
France being France, you take 3 points. Grind them down. That would be the French way, I would think.
It's Papé's way.
And he had a second go.
They're winning some great line-out ball, aren't they? Front, middle, back. Work that beautifully, and Nyanga so athletic. Straight. Such a good line-out forward, such an intelligent forward. And Nyanga, we know about his pace.
All over Spedding there. Here comes Devati. Strong last week again. Strong start here. Michalak to Uge. Gets away from 12 Trees initially. The Gloucester man gets back at him. Michalak again. That's Shuli to Antonio. Michalak to Bastereau. Spedding there on hand to keep it going. Here's Fofana. Oh, that's interesting. Where's this one going to break? Mike Brown read it well, just as well. With 3 French players arriving, including Fofana, the kicker. Mike Brown. Counter-attack over halfway. His club colleague at Harlequins, Kerr, gets it along the England line from 4 and 12 for trees, and Rob Shaw and Vunipola. How much is left in these English legs? Well, the replacements should be fine, and Easter is one of them.
Lovely pass there from Ford.
Kerr another. This is Joseph. Kicked away to Spedding, who gobbles that one up. Will France consider the counter-attack? Tiersboard is lining up for the kick. He's had enough running around for a moment.
Well, that's the first half when England were under the cosh. That's what England should have been doing, not going for 30 metres, go for 15 and just take the pace out of the game. Lovely delay from George Ford, the first time we've seen it, but it's interesting. Nick Easter's one of the most intelligent rugby players in England, and he was able to read Ford's play there. Jonathan Joseph screaming for a penalty. I don't think there was anything in it. Big performance from Pascal Papé today, and that man Bastareaud. Overpowered England.
Fiku comes on, brings back bad memories for England with that late try in 2014. Foncard is on for Papé. Shuley is the new captain, and here go England with Cipriani and Noel. Kerr. Here's Joseph. Mako Vunipola. Shuley, the new skipper, let him go in the end. Just had too much. That's George Ford with a little fade. Cipriani with a little pass. Doesn't find the hands of 12 trees, but it's found Mike Brown. England still going on.
Even up.
And Kerr's with him. Noel again. England Nakatathi. This is 12 trees. Kerr. Easter. Boot out of the hands of the scrum half, and it's adjudged to be a knock-on. Nothing going for England here.
Second time England have been in a ruck situation, and the ball has been knocked out of the hand by an own play. Oh, sorry, once was an ankle in the first half. That time, you can see there's the boot. Just Danny Kerr's very upset there. That looked like a French Adidas boot. They got away with that one. But England have not been generally clearing out breakdowns. They've made it very difficult for their half-backs to get this game going, generate any sort of pace.
Remy Tales comes on for Freddie Michalak. On my reckoning, he got himself up 17 points, Michalak. So it's nearly getting Dimitri Yashvili's record for a Frenchman in one match against England, but he's got the all-time record. Nailed that tonight. Nailed a lot of things.
He played very well.
Coming up, we should say that in a couple of weeks' time, England play their final warm-up match. QBE International's pre-World Cup. It's against Ireland. It's on Sky Sports 1, and we start at 2 o'clock. And the England squad will be known long before then. Deadline August the 31st. We'll know sometime during the course of next week. Stuart.
We were just talking about Michalak and how well he's played today. The little inside pass caught Marler out and set up Uge for the try. I wonder if on the 5th of September it'll be another fly half that tormented them in recent times. Johnny Sexton, who was absolutely mesmeric in Dublin last season. That, of course, could be a very big game. England a potential semi-final with Dublin, but one has to reiterate on the balance of England's performance today. They got to beat Fiji first and then start thinking about Wales and Australia. And I'm sure they'll be enjoying this game in the valleys.
Number 17, hinging.
England's turn for a penalty at the scrum, so that's a bit of relief. That's what World Cups are about. You just play the next game in front of you, don't you? They're not too far ahead. Not in that pool, certainly.
Now, what England have to do here, set themselves up for the World Cup. It's been a horrible day. They've got to hit their man in the line out and blitz through France, drive them over. World Cup, teams will be looking for catcher drives from 5 metres. England need to start scoring. As Chillis Board goes, I think he has cemented himself as number 9 for France, which means Morgan Parra will not be there. He can't be the goal kicker, so it looks like Board and Michalak are going to be France's number 1 half-back to start the tournament.
It's pretty clear it's what Philippe Saint-André wanted. I think he got his wish. Look at that back line tonight. Looked like the first choice back line for France. Now it's all about the French forwards in defence here as England go to try and get something out of this match. Robshaw grimacing. And Kerr feeds. And out it comes now to Cipriani. He's got Brown outside. Cipriani through. Makes his mark. And the time that is available, Danny Cipriani gets his name on the scoreboard as a try scorer.
Well, we know Cipriani's a raper. Do you know what? The first time in 70 minutes, the England pack and a few backs in helping along have driven France backward, and they have been able to suck the blue shirts into the ball, and that creates the space that we haven't seen when England have tried to go wide today. France sucked in, 3 men there around Danny Kerr. The little delay from Ford is beautiful, and Cipriani, little chip step there, beautiful. Check and go. But England, first time the pack have really drawn the French into them.
They've levelled the try count at least, and George Ford gets a conversion, 25-13. But England get another score here. Put a lot of gloss on it, wouldn't it?
Well, that's what England's backs can do if they get the right sort of ball, but they haven't had the right sort of ball, and therefore, because of that, they've played the wrong sort of ambitious rugby. It's the old Campo goose step there, isn't it? And Uge is a good defender, but Cipriani's got a change of pace, and he's put on a bit of power too, and he's through Spedding, and that's a fine finish.
Through Spedding, looks like not an easy thing to do.
18, stop, stop, stop.
Had the momentum, but Cipriani used it to full advantage there. Spedding puts it high. France will want to remove this English gloss. They will feel it has been emphatically their night, and they will want that reflected in the final score. Jonathan Joseph. Kerr. Ford. Robshaw knew the importance of that rolling ball just short of that French line. It's written all over the face of the England captain. And it's a penalty. Ford to touch. Uge was interested, but it had too much. It's a good one.
Fair dues to Ford. It was a poor kick at the start of the game, and it didn't put England on the right foot. He had to go for that one, and Uge's fingertips were achingly close, but that's a cracking kick from George Ford. Now, if Jamie George can find his man again, England will look to try and put another drive on. They score a try here. Some more miracles, you never know.
Here's a little moment for Jamie George. Bit of pressure on here. England looking to try and get back into things. It's a good line out from England. It's George Ford. 12 Trees took the attention. Joseph took the ball. In went Fico. Now it's back with Danny Kerr. England getting moving at last tonight in Paris. Kerr again. Ford once more. Here's Cipriani. Jonathan Joseph. Who's not releasing there? Joseph the ball, the tackler on the floor, while the referee has given England the put in.
Must say though, England a great attacking situation. They get the scrum, but they didn't put the bodies in there to knock the French shirts off it, to give themselves a chance to play with some continuity. Look at this, how few people are going into that breakdown area. You know, if that's Australia, you've got 3 or 4 forwards flying in there. England just getting no one there. Backs have been a lot sharp. They've looked a lot sharper in the last 5 minutes. Is it because France at 25-6 thought it was over, Or is it because England have just got a little bit of momentum up front? You've seen the delayed pass of Ford. He works well with Cipriani wide. England mustn't throw all the talent that they've got behind the scrum away on the back of one game. What they've got to do is work out how their pack doesn't get comprehensively outplayed like this, and how the backs use the ball effectively and intelligently.
5 minutes left. Win will feel so good for France, having just got those 2 Six Nations victories against the bottom 2 as well, Scotland and Italy.
Very interesting line-up here. George Ford right behind the scrum. Billy Twelvetree's much flatter. Brown behind him. Lots of innovation.
Few places left really to have a scrum. Vunipola on the blind side, by the way. Easter at 8.
Great hands, Nick Easter. Will England use them, try and produce something off those fringes?
Care. 12 trees. Oh no. Not a great view of that from here. You could just see it was not going to work. Manga brings it away to find Uge for France. And Cockett takes on England, who are trying desperately to get back in their defensive positions. But Debatty's lost it now. Atwood. It's there for Kerr. George Ford. Cipriani. Crowd think it's all but done. England trying to have the last say here. Easter did well. 37 years of age now.
He and Atwood have carried quite well for him, the pair of them.
Ben Morgan just had 40 minutes last week on his comeback, feeling a bit stiff and sore. But an important little cameo here from Easter. Ford, Cipriani, here comes Vunipola, Mike Brown, man on the outside is Jonathan Joseph, and England are going to get in again, are they? Yes, they are. Joseph, just before the end, even more gloss.
Some nice play there again from England. It takes me back to Dunedin when they were being absolutely hammered, and then they came back again. The delay, the quality of the passing is very good there. Mike Brown draws his final man well, and Joseph eases down and then just accelerates. Super play, that little step inside from Brown just gives Joseph the chance there. And amazingly, England have a chance to, if this goes over or not, certainly not lose. 2 minutes for a 7-pointer.
England's second try. France's was a beauty, Uge, but another for England. Here's Ford with the conversion. That looks really good. Beauty.
Well,
5 points in it.
Marzi hasn't been at his best, but he has kicked absolutely everything. No question about his goal kicking. Well, this would be an insult to the hit-and-run industry if England did get a try and won this, but you'd never know. Those guys will be hoping. They'll also be delighted, Mars. The scoreline 25-20. They could go away and they can work with that, and they can say, hey, look at the last 10 minutes, how we came back into that.
Absolutely. Makes a big difference. Maybe not to the result, but maybe it will. The result, quite amazingly, is in the balance here. Cipriani to Ford. Shades of Twickenham now in March when England were trying everything from everywhere. Robshaw sets it back. Kerr. Something special from here, really would. That's Courtney Laws. Danny Kerr steps in again. He's looked really sharp since he's come on. Cipriani once more, 12 trees. Billy Vunipola stayed the course. Hits hard there in the challenge. Mako Vunipola. The dying embers of the game. England deep inside their own half. Robshaw, Knoll. Good carry from Knoll. The tension has to be spot on, and it is. Kerr. Half-backs, Ford and Kerr combining again. Davy Wilson hits the ruck. England outside their 22 at last. 12 trees. And still, nobody wants to give that rush final pass that drops the ball and ends the game. England keeping their concentration. Cipriani takes them on with George. Good work between those two. Cipriani knew it was on there. England have got an advantage. 12 trees. Won't be able to get this one off the field. They could tap and run. Allows England just to breathe again and form the line.
Bench have done well, you know, Mako Vunipola, but in particular Cipriani, Easter and Atwood. Excellent.
Billy Vunipola, brother Mako's going with him. Inside the French half now. Kerr, Cipriani. And really well since he came on, Cipriani. Atwood as well. Kerr to Easter. Oh, it's really tight in there now. Vunipola again. Crowd trying to lift their team. They're a bit worried now, the French supporters. They really are. Surely can't lose again, can they? Getting to that French 10-metre line. Here's Ford. Courtney Laws. Great concentration this from England, and having the bodies to go with it. The physical effort here is mammoth. Robshaw. Be midnight by the time we finish. 12 trees on his own. Back goes Knoll. Oh, can he get out of this? It's going to need to be good footwork. Where's the support? Referee takes a look, but it's coming back. 4. Courtney Laws again. Can somebody just find a gap. Danny Kerr to George Ford. That's beautifully done. Flat as you like. Nick Easter took it in his stride. Kerr to Ford to Cipriani. And Cipriani wasn't held. He's entitled to do that. They'll be up to the 22 soon. Mako Vunipola. That ball's going nowhere. In comes a boot from Dabati. Ford. Jamie George. Shows his Saracens form there all right. In goes Easter. In comes George Ford. Now we're entitled to get excited. In range of the French lines. Kerr to Billy Vunipola. What a finish to this match. 3 minutes of extra time. It comes back. France have got it off the field. Brave, really brave from England, but they would admit over the whole of the game, Chris Robshaw's side did not deserve the win, but hey, if you're in front when the music stops, you'll take it, and England nearly were. But for France, they get their revenge for last week, and they get their much-needed win. Boy, did they have to win with all the recent defeats. And this victory is bound to form a major part of their self-assurance going into the World Cup. But England, right at the end, showed themselves the way to go too, and they will feel a lot better than they would have done 20 minutes ago.
Well, that's an important building block for France, definitely. Self-belief has been so low, that win against England will have lifted them. As for England, let's not kid ourselves, the last 10 minutes was undoubtedly gloss on what had been a very gory 70 minutes performance. What made the difference? The difference made was when the forwards started to carry tight, when Atwood and Easter pounded through the middle. For 70 minutes, I think Pat made the point, the big forwards were offloading all the time. They weren't committing Frenchmen. French kept their shape. When England got the white hammer going and drove into them, England got in the game. Cipriani looked dangerous coming wide. Suddenly Ford looked the class act that we know he is. It could have been also different had England started as they finished. The one good thing that comes out of it, apart from the last 10 minutes, will be the lesson to learn. We have to be more direct. England have to commit defenders, and then they can go. A poor performance, they might have got away with some real consolation and a lesson learned, and that possibly in the end of it all, Miles, will be the key point from this game for England.
France proved again they can light up any match, as Uche did. That's why they will always be feared, and Picamol's another big game from him. But England can't walk away with a win from this challenging venue. As we said, something at the end there to build on. The previous 65-70, well, they will want to forget it, but within that, they can't afford to forget it. They know that, because there are some lessons to learn, not least the line out that has to be sorted, and other issues too.
Well, it was England by 5 last week at Twickenham. Tonight at the Stade de France, it is France by 5. But over the course of the 160 minutes, who do you think will take more from it? So Clive Woodward is alongside. We're going to ask you first things first about England. Where are they, do you think, on their journey towards the World Cup?
Well, today could like it be a big wake-up call. I mean, I think they came in with a little bit of complacency and forgot this was a test match against France. And, you know, we have to be very, very clear. The line out on the scrum didn't go well for that first 65 minutes. You can't win here, can't win anywhere against the top sides unless that goes well. In saying that, they've got to understand this was a rehearsal for the World Cup. I think they look a bit tired, which could be they're training very hard. They are trying to peak in a month's time, not today. So they've got to be positive. Stuart with his team in there, you know, we've come to France, we lost by 5 points in the end. In the last 10 minutes, yeah, it's you know, there's a lot they've got to take out of that, and they've got to say, you know, they've got to be able to play the game. But if the forwards don't front up, you can't win these games. As simple as that.
How loud do you think the alarm bells are within the England setup off the back of